In this tutorial, we are going to learn some slip techniques. The first one is sgraffito. This is actually my personal favorite. Once you have a nice trimmed and clean slab, you're going to do step 1. Paint a layer of slip onto leather hard clay. You need to make sure it's leather hard. Step 2. Wait until dry and paint a second layer of slip. Let it dry again. See how it's not shiny? Then step 3. Continue to paint layers of slip until you cannot see the clay underneath. Once you have the right number of layers, you can, step 4, begin carving designs using needle tool. You can use the pointy end, but you could also use the back end to get a thicker line. You can also use a trimming tool as well. Also, use a dry brush to remove the little crumbs of clay that you need to get out of the way. See there, I'm using the brush to remove them. Okay, so paper template. Step 1, cut out your paper stencil. You can print an image out or you can draw it by hand. It doesn't really matter. Step 2, paint slip around the stencil. Start from the middle and kind of go outwards. This will make sure that the slip doesn't get pushed under the paper. Step 3, when dry, paint another layer of slip. Step 4, apply another layer of slip until you cannot see the clay underneath. Step 5, remove paper stencil with needle tool. Now we're on to our next technique, which is slip trailing. There are not many steps to slip trailing, but there are some tips. Tip number 1, work on hard leather clay. If the clay is too soft, it will get caught in the tip of the slip bottle. Tip number 2, practice makes perfect. Practice on a table or another clay tile. Tip number 3, it is important to have soft, even pressure. If you push too hard, a lot of slip will come out. So that's why it's important to practice. Step number 4, if you make a mistake, scratch the slip off with the rib. Here you can see me using the slip trailing method to make my letters and also my arrow. After you use the slip trailing, you can also go in with the needle tool and trim the edges so that it looks a little bit cleaner. And there is my finished tile.